No, Mom, I say into the phone, wedging it between my shoulder and ear as I rummage through the pantry. I'm not driving to your place. The roads are going to be a skating rink for angry moose before the night's out. My pantry, I have to say, is a thing of beauty. 3 types of artisanal instant ramen spicy kimchi, black garlic oil, and a truffle-infused one I'm saving for a real emergency, like running out of memes. Yes, I have bread and milk and that weird powdered cheese you like. I eye the can of bright orange dust with suspicion. Some things, not even an ice-pocalypse can make appetizing. Love you too. Don't open the door for any chatty snowmen. I hang up and survey my kingdom. My living room is transforming into a den of cozy defiance. Hand-crank radio that supposedly picks up signals from Neptune? Check. Enough AA batteries to power a small village, or, more importantly, my heated slippers for a week? Double check. And the pièce de résistance. A small, surprisingly potent propane heater I bought off a guy online who claimed it was Antarctic expedition surplus. It smells faintly of penguins and regret, but hey, warmth is warmth. This is my time to shine. Or, stay warm and not die. A flash of movement outside my window distracts me. It's Brenda Crumcher, our HOA overlord, marching down the sleet-dusted sidewalk. Her clipboard is held aloft like a sacred tablet, and she's pointing with righteous fury at a rogue garden gnome on Mrs. Henderson's lawn. The wind, already picking up, whips her perfectly coiffed helmet hair, but it doesn't dare muss a single strand. Brenda, I'm convinced, is immune to weather. Her only vulnerability is fun. Oh, here we go, I mutter. The pre-storm power trip. She's probably ensuring all our thoughts and prayers are properly aligned with the HOA-approved font. Later that afternoon, I find myself in the community clubhouse. It's a depressing room, all beige walls and uncomfortable plastic chairs that sigh when you sit on them. President Crumcher is at a podium. A few bewildered residents are scattered about, looking like they'd rather be facing the thundersleet. Good afternoon, residents. Her voice cuts through the nervous murmurs. As you know, a minor weather event is approaching. Minor? Channel 7 just showed a graphic of a polar bear clinging to a frozen palm tree. The official HOA-designated inclement weather refuge point, that's the basement storage area, Sector Gamma 7, will be accessible under specific, pre-approved conditions. She holds up a laminated 12-page document. Its title, in bold, angry letters, Operation Frozen Fortress, Refuge Protocols. Sector Gamma 7? Did a Bond villain design our HOA? And 12 pages? I bet page 1 is just the table of contents for the other 11 pages detailing why we can't have nice things, even during an ice-pocalypse. Mr. Abernathy, a man whose primary characteristic is nervous, raises a trembling hand. President Crumcher, my poodle, Fluffy. He's very small and hypoallergenic. Karen adjusts her glasses, a move that somehow amplifies her aura of bureaucratic menace. Mr. Abernathy, as per Bylaw 73, subsection Q, paragraph 4, non-human companions, feathered, furred, or scaled, are expressly prohibited from Sector Gamma 7 unless possessing prior written authorization from the board, a notarized veterinary certificate of non-shedding compliance, and a Class 3 emotional support animal permit, which, as you know, requires a 6-month review period. She pauses for dramatic effect. So, in short, no. Fluffy stays home. Mr. Abernathy looks like he might cry. Fluffy is the size of a teacup and mostly sleeps. I can't help myself. Brenda, I say, my voice a little louder than intended. With all due respect, it's going to be 10 below with wind chill. Are we really going to debate poodle permits when people might freeze? Her eyes, like tiny chips of ice, fix on me. Dave, it's President Crumsher. And adherence to protocol is what separates us from, well, from communities with unkempt lawns and an unacceptable proliferation of non-regulation bird feeders. Order, that's what keeps us safe. Order and a distinct lack of common sense. Got it? I should have brought popcorn. She shuffles her papers. Furthermore, I must address a grave infraction already detected in Sector Gamma 7. A dramatic hush falls. An unauthorized and, frankly, aggressively scented pumpkin spice air freshener was discovered this morning during my preemptive atmospheric purity inspection. You could hear a pin drop, then a collective, muffled groan. This is a clear violation of the olfactory harmony addendum, Karen continues, her voice trembling with indignation. Until the perpetrator is identified and the offending scent is neutralized, access to Sector Gamma 7 remains restricted. Pumpkin, spice. That's the hill we're literally going to die on. Noted. Later that evening, the sleet is starting to coat everything in a treacherous, glittering shell. The temperature is plummeting. My lights flicker ominously. I decide to check out Sector Gamma 7, just in case Karen has miraculously developed a shred of human empathy. Unlikely. Or the pumpkin spice bandit has turned themselves in. Even less likely. I find Chad, my next-door neighbor, already there. He's built like a fridge but has the bewildered expression of a lost puppy. He's staring at the shelter door. "Dude, what gives?" he asks, his breath misting in the frigid air. "I thought this was the spot." "It is, or was," I say. "Apparently it's been compromised by a rogue dessert seasoning with hostile intent." Chad just blinks. "Huh?" We approach the heavy steel door to the basement. There's a new, industrial-looking padlock gleaming malevolently under the flickering emergency light. And a freshly printed sign, laminated, of course, because Karen never met a piece of paper she couldn't encase in plastic. Sector Gamma 7 temporarily decommissioned, unauthorized aromatic incursion, by order of the HOA president. Underneath, in smaller, even angrier print, violators will be subject to fines, shaming in the community newsletter, and a stern talking to. She actually did it. The absolute, laminated lunatic. It's not just locked, it's decommissioned, like it's a nuclear submarine that's seen too much active duty. She actually padlocked the storm shelter, I say, a strange mixture of fury and awe in my voice. Because of an air freshener? Chad's eyes widen. So, what do we do? My apartment's already freezing, and I think my Xbox is making weird noises. Sad ones. The Xbox is a valid concern, Chad. But right now, I'm more worried about becoming a human popsicle. This means war. Or at least a very creative workaround. I look at the sleet, then at the locked door. Then a memory sparks. My buddy Mike, who runs Rockin' Rides, a party bus company that was trying to rebrand into executive transport. He owed me a big one after I single-handedly resurrected his booking system from a catastrophic server crash that almost sent him back to selling unlicensed band t-shirts from a van. A slow smile spreads across my face, despite the cold. Executive transport, Mike had called it. Climate-controlled, plush leather seats, a surprisingly decent sound system, and most importantly, not under the jurisdiction of Brenda Crumsher and her olfactory harmony addendum. Oh, this is going to be good. My apartment is now officially an icebox. The power is completely out. I'm huddled in blankets, using my phone's flashlight battery at a precarious 37% to scroll through my contacts. Fingers numb, I find Mike Rockin' Rides. Please pick up, please pick up. Please have Lenny on speed dial. The favor I'm about to call in isn't just big, it's coach bus-sized. Mike, I shout when he finally answers. his voice barely audible over what sounds suspiciously like a monster truck rally. Dave, hey buddy, remember that massive, life-altering, I-saved-your-entire-business favor you owe me? Dave, my man! His enthusiasm is a blast furnace. Anything. You want my kidney? My prize-winning poodle? He doesn't own a poodle. Just say the word. Even better, Mike. I need transportation. The big one. The Zephyr of Comfort. And I need it like yesterday. There's an ice storm that's making Antarctica look like a beach resort. My HOA president is a power-mad dictator who's weaponized pumpkin spice, and I'm pretty sure my neighbor's about to try and thaw his hot pockets with willpower alone. Say no more, Mike bellows. The Zephyr, she's a beauty. Lenny's your man. He's probably just polishing the chrome skull gear stick as we speak. Stand by. A moment of terrible hold music assaults my ears. It sounds like a kazoo cover of Free Bird, played with feeling but no discernible skill. Then, a new voice, like gravel gargled with whiskey, but surprisingly calm. Lenny here. Heard you got a situation involving an ice queen and a desperate need for mobile luxury? Lenny, you beautiful chrome-loving bastard, yes. Relief floods through me, almost warming me up. Can the Zephyr handle apocalyptic levels of ice? And more importantly, can it be here in, say, an hour? Lenny chuckles, a sound like rocks tumbling in a dryer. Apocalyptic ice is just Tuesday for the Zephyr, my friend. GPS says your little suburban slice of heaven is tricky, but for you, and for Mike, we'll make it happen. Got any special requests? Mood lighting? Fog machine? Just heat, Lenny. Glorious, beautiful heat. And maybe avoid running over the HOA president. For now, consider it done. ETA. Let's say 90 minutes, give or take a rogue icicle the size of a Buick. 90 minutes. I can do this. Step 1. Survive Brenda Crumcher's inevitable discovery of my unsanctioned survival plan. This is going to be fun. Expensive, probably, if Mike ever actually cashes in that favor, but definitely fun. I'm by my front window, bundled like a polar explorer, peering out into the swirling chaos. The street is a landscape of glittering ice. Tree branches groan under the weight, their icy fingers scraping against the house. A figure emerges from the sleet, a flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. It's Karen, in a full-length, reflective yellow poncho that makes her look like a very angry, oversized lemon with a vendetta. She's systematically checking every house, presumably for unauthorized merriment or non-regulation icicle formations. She's like a frosty Terminator. She can't be bargained with. She can't be reasoned with. She doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and she absolutely will not stop, ever, until all fun is dead and all pumpkin spice has been eradicated. Chad appears at my door, his face a mask of panic. Dude, she's out there! I saw her trying to issue a citation to a snowman for unstable structural integrity and excessive jolliness. Sounds about right, I say. Just stay inside, Chad. Try not to look like you're enjoying the existential dread. She feeds on that. But my pipes just made a sound like a dying whale, he wails. And I'm out of Doritos, the Cool Ranch kind. Tragic, on both counts. I pat his arm. Hang tight. Salvation is coming, maybe. Karen spots me in the window. Her flashlight beam fixes on my face like a sniper's laser. I give a weak, neighborly wave. She doesn't wave back, just makes an angry note on her clipboard. I can almost hear the furious scribbling from here. Yep, definitely on the naughty list. Pretty sure my continued existence is a violation of Bylaw 1, subsection A, general annoyance to the president. 90 minutes crawl by like millennia measured in shivers. The storm is raging now, a full-blown ice-crazed tantrum. It's legitimately dangerous to be outside. Then, I hear it. First, a low rumble, distinct from the wind's howl. Then the unmistakable, reassuring hiss of air brakes. And then headlights. Lots of them. Bright, beautiful, warm-looking headlights piercing the icy darkness. The zephyr of comfort. A gleaming black coach bus that looks like it should be transporting a platinum-selling rock band or a clandestine meeting of international spies, expertly navigates the icy cul-de-sac. Its massive tires crunch reassuringly on the frozen ground. It's a majestic, beautiful, utterly ridiculous sight. Lenny, a silhouette in the warm glow of the cabin, gives a thumbs up from the driver's seat. The chrome skull on the gear stick seems to wink at me. It's more glorious than I remembered. Curtains twitch up and down the street. Faces, pale and wide-eyed, press against frosty windows. Jaws are visibly dropping. Chad is practically doing a happy dance on his frozen porch, then nearly slips and executes an unplanned pirouette. Karen, who was heading back to her own frozen fortress looking smug after a successful tour of spreading misery, stops dead in her tracks. Her ever-present flashlight, which was pointed triumphantly at the sky, as if daring the storm to do its worst, clatters to the icy ground. Her mouth forms a perfecto of incandescent rage. "Lenny!" I shout over the wind as the bus door opens with a satisfying whoosh of warm, fragrant air. "You magnificent beast! Perfect timing!" Lenny grins, his beanie pulled low over his eyes. "That's how we roll, kid. All aboard the SS Sanity. Last stop before Frostbite City." The confrontation is immediate. Karen, galvanized by a fury so pure it could probably melt glaciers, slides and stumbles her way towards the bus. "David Miller!" she shrieks, her voice cracking like an icicle. "What in the name of the subdivision covenants and the spirit of uniform mediocrity is that vehicle?" I offer my sweetest, most innocent smile. "Evening, President Crumsher. Just my, emergency preparedness module. Fully climate-controlled. Would you like a brochure? It's got heated floors, I believe." This is an unauthorized commercial vehicle on residential property during a declared weather event of moderate to severe inconvenience. She's sputtering, tiny flecks of ice clinging to her helmet hair. Her clipboard is quivering with sympathetic rage. "This is a flagrant violation of everything." "Actually, Brenda," I say, relishing the moment, "it's privately owned, and my guest, and currently the warmest, safest place on this entire godforsaken, ice-encrusted street. Funny how that works out when the official shelter is, and I quote, temporarily decommissioned due to an unauthorized aromatic incursion of a vaguely autumnal nature. Check. And mate. For now, anyway. Predictably, her next move is to whip out her phone. "I'm calling the police! This mobile monstrosity must be removed!" Sure enough, a few minutes later, blue and red lights flash at the end of the street. A police cruiser, sliding a bit like a startled deer on a frozen pond, pulls up cautiously. Officer Miller and Officer Davies emerge, their faces etched with the weary resignation of men who know they're about to wade into another HOA swamp. "Officers! Thank goodness!" Karen exclaims, waving her arms wildly at the bus as if it's a hostile alien spacecraft. "Arrest this man! He's operating an illegal luxury storm defiance unit. It's a menace to public order and aesthetic conformity." Officer Miller, older, seen it all, and radiating an aura of profound tiredness, looks at the bus, then at me shivering by my open and rapidly cooling front door, then at Karen, who is starting to resemble a very angry, bright yellow and slightly unhinged garden gnome. "Ma'am," he says, his voice gravelly, "with all due respect, what exactly is the, criminal act here? Besides offending your sensibilities, which, last I checked, isn't in the penal code." It's too big, Karen insists. It's un-HOA-like. He's flaunting his warmth and his probable disregard for recycling protocols. Officer Davies, younger and clearly struggling to maintain a professional poker face, pipes up. Warmth isn't illegal, ma'am, especially not tonight. In fact, I think the mayor just declared it highly encouraged. I approach cautiously, hands up in a gesture of peace. Evening, officers. Dave Miller. Just trying to stay alive and avoid becoming a permanent fixture in my own freezer. Our official shelter is, experiencing some technical difficulties involving a seasonal air freshener of questionable origin. Officer Miller pinches the bridge of his nose. He looks like he hasn't slept since the Reagan administration. A pumpkin spice air freshener by any chance? From Sector Gamma 7? The very same, officer, I confirm. A deep, soul-weary sigh escapes Officer Miller. Brenda, we've got actual emergencies tonight. Downed power lines, people stuck on the highway, a report of a rogue squirrel hoarding all the town's emergency glitter. A man with a very large, very warm bus taking shelter from a lethal ice storm is not high on our priority list. Is he blocking a fire hydrant? Nope, I say cheerfully. Clear access for all emergency pootiness and official HOA business. But the bylaws, Karen wails. The visual pollution. The sheer audacity of his comfortable survival. Officer Davies can't hide a small smile now. Ma'am, technically, if it's parked on his property or if he's a guest of the property owner and it's not obstructing traffic, it's a civil matter. And honestly, I'm a little jealous. Got any cocoa in there, sir? He winks at me. Swiss Miss with mini marshmallows, officer, I reply. Help yourself if you're off duty. Or even if you're not, I won't tell. Officer Miller claps his hands together. All right, Brenda. Unless this bus starts launching missiles or hosting an illegal bingo tournament with stakes exceeding $5, we're going to let Mr. Miller enjoy his preparedness. Try to stay warm, and maybe let the pumpkin spice thing go for tonight? Just a thought. Karen looks like she's swallowed a particularly sour lemon, followed by the entire lemon tree. The officers give me a subtle nod, get back in their cruiser, and carefully drive away, their flashing lights disappearing into the swirling sleet and snow. Score 1 for Team Common Sense and Team Heated Coach Bus. Chad is already halfway to the bus, his earlier panic replaced by a childlike wonder. Dude, is that satellite TV? Can we get the game? My fantasy team is on the line. Mrs. Henderson, my elderly neighbor, whose heating is notoriously unreliable and prone to dramatic sighs, peeks out from her darkened doorway. I wave her over. Mrs. H, plenty of room. We even have Earl Grey and biscuits that aren't a decade old. A few other neighbors, the ones who aren't card-carrying members of Karen's Praetorian Guard, start to emerge from their frozen domiciles, looking hopeful. I make a quick mental list. No one who's ever reported me for excessive lawn cheerfulness or non-regulation holiday decorations. The Ark is now boarding. All reasonable, non-Karen-aligned life forms welcome. This is not a drill. Or rather, it is a drill, but a very comfortable and slightly surreal one. The storm is at its absolute peak now. The wind screams like a banshee with a stubbed toe. Ice encases everything, transforming our quiet suburban street into a glittering, hostile alien landscape. Karen, defeated by the police, but not by her own indomitable sense of self-importance, has evidently decided to officially undecommission the shelter. Perhaps she realized no one could actually get to it anyway. Or maybe it was just to save face, a last stand for bureaucratic dignity. She's fumbling with the industrial padlock on the Sector Gamma 7 door with frozen fingers, her yellow poncho crinkling angrily with every frustrated movement. A small, shivering huddle of her most loyal or most desperate acolytes are behind her, looking utterly miserable. The padlock finally gives with a reluctant groan. Karen makes a grand, sweeping gesture, like she's single-handedly liberating Paris. "Sector Gamma 7, she bellows over the wind, her voice nearly snatched away by the gale, "is now, provisionally, accessible for sanctioned refuge." And that's when it happens. The timing is so perfect, so utterly, beautifully cinematic. It's almost as if Lenny cued it, precisely as Karen finishes her triumphant proclamation. The zephyr of comfort, its interior lights blazing like a warm beacon of hope, pulls up smoothly right in front of the clubhouse. The door whooshes open with a sound that seems to mock the howling wind. Warm, inviting light spills out, along with the faint, thumping bass of classic rock, Lenny's extensive collection apparently, and the unmistakable heavenly smell of— are those freshly baked cookies? Yes. Yes, they are. Lenny, it turns out, is a man of many talents, including operating the onboard convection microwave with surprising finesse. This is the moment, the title drop in real life. The reason for the season, if the season is watching Brenda Crumsher's face collapse. Karen's face goes through an amazing rapid-fire spectrum of emotions. First, blank confusion, as if the bus is a mirage conjured by the cold. Then, dawning disbelief. Then, a volcanic surge of pure, unadulterated fury. And finally, a sort of sputtering, horrified silence. Her jaw is literally hanging open. One of her acolytes actually drops their emergency ration, a single, sad-looking granola bar, which is immediately swept away by the wind. I lean out of the bus, a steaming mug of cocoa with extra mini marshmallows in hand. "Evening again, President Crumcher," I call out, my voice cheerful. "Sector Gamma 7 looking a bit drafty, is it? We've got vacancy on the Zephyr. No pumpkin spice, I promise. Though Lenny's got a mean potpourri he calls Road Warrior's Delight, if you're feeling adventurous. Smells a bit like old leather and questionable life choices. But it's evocative." Chad gives a jaunty thumbs up from one of the plush bus windows, a half-eaten cookie in his other hand. Mrs. Henderson, wrapped in a luxurious quilted blanket that Lenny produced from somewhere, looks positively regal, like a queen surveying her slightly bewildered subjects. Karen's acolytes look torn. The shelter is a dark, cold, possibly damp basement with a lingering aura of olfactory offense. The bus is— well, the bus. Warm, bright, smelling of cookies and freedom. You can almost see the loyalty circuits frying in their brains. It's beautiful. Inside the Zephyr, it's like a different dimension. The storm rages outside, a symphony of cracking ice and howling wind. But in here, it's 72 degrees of blissful normalcy, with a hint of rock and roll. Lenny, bless his surprising soul, has not only made cookies, but also found a stash of hot chocolate packets and a small electric kettle. The atmosphere is one of cozy chaos. Chad has discovered the onboard gaming system and is locked in a fierce virtual battle against an unseen enemy, his triumphant shouts occasionally punctuating Lenny's stories. "Dude, this seat has a massage function," he exclaims during a lull in the carnage. "My apartment doesn't even have functioning heat, and you've got vibrating chairs." Mrs. Henderson, looking 10 years younger and surprisingly spry, is teaching another neighbor, a quiet, perpetually startled man named Bill, who's terrified of Karen, how to play gin rummy on one of the pop-out tables. "Gin, dear," she announces crisply to Bill. "And you owe me a chocolate chip cookie. The one with the extra chips." I'm fielding requests for phone charging from the various USB ports thoughtfully installed throughout the coach. Lenny is holding court near the driver's seat, recounting an improbable tale. So there we were, backstage, and Axl Rose says to me, "Lenny," he says, "that bass solo sounded like a walrus fighting a washing machine in a hurricane." High praise from Axl, you understand? This is, without a doubt, the most surreal emergency I've ever been in. And I once had to evacuate a major Comic Con because of a suspicious package that turned out to be a very realistic and alarmingly large foam Thor's hammer left behind by a forgetful cosplayer. Through the heated, non-fogging windows, we can see the ice lashing down with relentless fury. Tree branches snap with sickening cracks. The world outside is hostile and frozen, a landscape of glittering danger. Inside, we're a little bubble of warmth, improbable camaraderie, and the lingering scent of vanilla from Lenny's baking endeavors. Occasionally, through the swirling sleet, we catch a glimpse of Karen's furious lemon-yellow form. She's out there, battling the elements, peering at the bus with an expression of profound offense, probably trying to find a new bylaw it's violating. Excessive coziness, unsanctioned cookie distribution, failure to adhere to the approved spectrum of emergency vehicle paint colors. She looks like a very wet, very angry cat that's been locked out in a blizzard and is plotting revenge on the entire concept of doors. You almost have to admire her commitment to misery. Almost. Then you remember the pumpkin spice, the padlocked shelter, the sheer, unadulterated Karen-ness of it all, and the feeling passes, replaced by a warm, fuzzy sense of schadenfreude and cocoa. The next morning, the storm has finally passed. The sun is out, glinting off a world encased in a breathtaking, treacherous layer of ice. It's beautiful in a don't you dare take a step or you will break your neck kind of way. Power is still out for most of the neighborhood. We emerge from the zephyr like survivors from a surprisingly luxurious apocalypse, blinking in the bright, cold light. The street is a chaotic tableau of downed branches and ice sheets the size of small cars. News trickles through the neighborhood, carried on frozen breaths and via the miracle of still-functioning cell towers. Sector Gamma 7, having been sealed up tighter than a drum by President Crumpsher, suffered a burst pipe. Apparently, with the power out and no one able to get in to turn off the water or manage the non-existent heat, because Karen, the inevitable happened. It's now Sector Gamma 7, Subaquatic Division. A fittingly damp end to the pumpkin spice saga. Oh, the irony. It's so thick you could spread it on toast. If we had any non-frozen toast. A battered pickup truck from Gus and Ray's Reliable Repairs. Their unofficial slogan, I later learn, is, "If it's broke, we might fix it, depending on our mood and how much coffee we've had," arrives to assess the clubhouse damage. Gus is stout and radiates an air of weary competence. Ray is lanky and looks like he's seen things that would make a hardened criminal weep. They both look like they've seen far too much HOA drama in their careers. Gus whistles, a low, appreciative sound, as he peers at the flooded clubhouse basement entrance. "Well, ain't that a pickle and a half? Looks like someone tried to turn their storm shelter into a reflecting pool." Ray nods sagely. "Pipe burst, most likely. Happens when you seal things up tight in a hard freeze and don't drain 'em or keep some heat on. Basic stuff, really. Plumbing 101. I'm helping Lenny clear a particularly large, ice-encrusted branch from the path of the Zephyr, which he's hoping to extricate before the thaw turns the street into a swamp. "You don't say," I call over. Funny that. It was decommissioned, you see, due to an unauthorized aromatic incursion. Gus stops, wipes his hands on a greasy rag, and looks at me. Then his gaze travels to the massive luxury coach bus parked nearby, looking absurdly out of place amidst the suburban wreckage. "Aromatic incursion, huh? And you folks rode out the storm in that?" He points at the Zephyr with a hefty wrench. "Yep," I say proudly. "Heated floors and everything. Some of us believe in proactive comfort and resisting olfactory tyranny." Ray lets out a short, barking laugh. HOA, right? He doesn't even need to ask. It's a statement, heavy with the weight of shared experience. You know it? I confirm. Gus shakes his head, a wry smile playing on his lips. Had one last year up in Miller's Creek. Lady tried to fine a fella 'cause his emergency generator was, and I quote, offending the ambient soundscape with its monotonous drone. During a hurricane, mind you, some folks just got too much time on their hands and not nearly enough common sense to fill it. Tell me about it, Ray chimes in. The things we get called out for, the sheer mind-boggling pettiness. Actually, never mind. Client confidentiality and all that? He gives me a conspiratorial wink. These guys are my people. They understand. They've stared into the abyss of HOA regulations and lived to tell the tale, albeit with a permanent air of exasperation. A few days later, things are slowly, grudgingly returning to something resembling normal. The power is back. The ice is melting, revealing Karen's previously immaculate, now sadly trampled petunias. A small, silent, karmic victory for garden gnomes everywhere. My status in the neighborhood has undergone a subtle but significant transformation. I'm a local hero. Or at least the eccentric guy with the awesome bus and the guts to, indirectly, tell Karen Crumcher where to stick her laminated bylaws. Neighbors who used to offer a curt nod, if anything, now smile, wave, even stop to chat. Chad wants to know if the Zephyr is available for tailgating for the upcoming college football season. Mrs. Henderson baked me cookies. Non-pumpkin spice, bless her heart. And pressed a small, antique bottle of brandy into my hand. For medicinal purposes, dear. Karen's authority, on the other hand, has taken a noticeable hit. People are openly questioning the great pumpkin spice debacle of 25. The flooded, unusable shelter is a visible, gurgling symbol of her overreach. She's still trying to issue citations. Someone's recycling bin was reportedly displaying excessive enthusiasm by being slightly overfilled. But the fire has gone out of her eyes a bit. She just looks damp and vaguely defeated. I have one final, beautiful interaction with her. She's out on the sidewalk, inspecting a new HOA-approved and incredibly flimsy-looking replacement sign for Sector Gamma 7. It now reads, Inclement Weather Holding Area. Aromatic neutrality strictly enforced. I walk by, whistling a cheerful, off-key tune. Miller, she says, her voice flat, without looking at me. President Crumcher, I reply, equally neutral, but with an internal smirk. That vehicle, she says, the word vehicle, dripping with distaste. It has been removed from the premises, I trust? The Zephyr? I feign surprise. Oh yeah, Lenny had another gig, very important, transporting some extremely rare, prize-winning ferrets, I think he said, to a national ferret convention in Vegas. Apparently they're very particular about their climate control, the ferrets. I make this up on the spot. It feels right. It feels deserved. Karen makes a small, strangled noise. It might be a sob. It might be indigestion from too much righteous fury. It's hard to tell. She doesn't say another word, just stares at the new sign with a look of profound weariness. My work here is done. The neighborhood is a little warmer, a little wiser, and definitely more suspicious of seasonal air fresheners and overly zealous HOA presidents. And I know that if worse ever comes to worst, I've got Lenny on speed dial. Because sometimes the best defense against a petty tyrant isn't a good offense. It's a 45-foot luxury coach bus with a killer sound system, a surprisingly adept cookie-baking driver, and the sheer unadulterated audacity to choose comfort over conformity. You can't put that in the bylaws.